Good day, Preservice teachers. Our topic for today is all about learners with physical disabilities. We will be able to identify, handle multi-fit learners with visual and hearing impairment. So what is impairment? Impairment is a problem with an organ or structure of the body. It is focused on the actual malformation or malfunction in the body. It may also be any temporary or permanent loss or abnormality of body structure or function, whether physiological or psychological. For example, a problem in the structure of the brain can result in difficulty with mental functions, or a problem in the structure of the eyes and the ears can result in difficulty with the functions of vision or hearing. So let's move on with the visual impairment. Learners with difficulty seeing are those with issue regarding sight that interferes with academics. The definition from Individual with Disabilities Education Act IDEA states that an impairment in the vision that even with correction adversely affects a child's educational performance, which includes both partial sight and blindness. These students may need to have their eyesight corrected by wearing glasses or other optical devices. So how to identify learners with visual impairment? Learners with difficulty seeing often have physical signs such as crossed eyes, stunting, and eyes that turn outwards, clumsy, usually bumping into objects which causes them to fall down, sit near the instructional materials at times would stand up and go near the visual aids, poor eye-hand coordination, and poor performance both in academic and sport activities. How to handle learners with visual impairment? If the use of books is part of your lesson, students with difficulty seeing should be informed ahead of time so that they can be ordered in braille or in an audio recorded format. Second, portion of textbooks and other printed materials may be recorded so that visually impaired students can listen instead of focusing on the visual presentations. All words written on the board should be read clearly. So next is students with difficulty seeing should be seated near the board so that they can easily move to close instructional materials used during the lesson. Next, a body can be assigned to a student with difficulty seeing as needed. This can be crucial to assist in the mobility of the student, such as going to the other places in school during the day. The other one is students with difficulty seeing might need more time to complete a task or homework. This might be on a case-to-case basis. Then, teachers should be aware of terminology that would require visual acuity, such as over, there, or like this one, which the impaired student may not possess. And lastly, teachers should monitor the student closely to know who needs extra time in completing tasks. So we are done with visual impairment. We already know how to identify learners with visual impairment and the tips on handling learners with difficulty in seeing. Then let's move on to the second impairment, which is hearing impairment. Learners with difficulty in hearing, this refers to the student with an issue regarding hearing that interferes with academics. The definition from Individuals with Disability Education Act IDEA defines it as an impairment in hearing, whether permanent or fluctuating, that adversely affects a child's educational performance, but it is not included under the definition of deafness. Deafness is considered when hearing loss is above 90 decibels. A hearing loss below 19 decibels is called hearing impairment. So how to identify learners with hearing impairment? To identify learners with difficulty hearing, observe the student, and if he or she does not the following items below. First is speaking loudly. Second, positioning air toward the direction of the one speaking. Third is asking for information to be repeated again and again. Then delayed development of speech. Then watching the face of the speaker intently, favoring one ear. Then not responding when called. Has difficulty following directions. Does not mind loud noises. And lastly, leaning close to the source of sounds. To tackle about how to handle learners with hearing impairment. Teachers should help students with difficulty hearing to use the residual hearing they may have. Teachers should also help students develop the ability for speech reading or watching other lips, mouth, and expressions. This can be seen in YouTube. Teachers should be mindful to face the class at all times when presenting information while ensuring that the students with difficulty hearing sit near them. Exaggerating the pronunciation of words should not be done, for it just makes it difficult for the student with difficulty hearing. It should always be written in the words such as direction as well as important parts of the lesson. Written or pictorial directions instead of verbal direction may be given. Steps to an activity may be physically acted out instead of verbally given. A variety of multisensory activities should be given to allow the student to focus on their learning strength. And lastly, teachers should be more patient in waiting to hear a response from a hearing impaired student, which may take longer than usual. And lastly, how to motivate learners with visual or hearing impairment. So first, we have helping them improve their self-esteem. Second, compliment on the things that they have done. Use of positive reinforcement. Third, state realistic goals for them. Fourth, equal treatment. Then, help the child develop responsibility or reward children. Then, integrate activities that affect the level of sensory stimulation. Then, teachers should provide a warm, accepting home environment. Give a clear direction and feedback. Create a model for success. Build on the student's strengths and relate schoolwork to the student's interest. So that's all for today. I hope you learned something from my discussion.